What's up, y'all? So, I am going on a little trip, not too far out, about an hour from Salt Lake, out to one of my favorite spots. I'm going shooting today. I'll probably do a video while I'm doing that. We're about to be off-road in a minute here. I just wanted to talk about some stuff I was thinking about yesterday. I had an interaction with somebody on Instagram. They were complaining about all the things going wrong in the world or going on in the country, in the United States, about how, I don't know, he was clearly a guy that was caught up in social media convincing him that everything is horrible. And it's just not. If you're chronically online, social media is hardwired to show you the worst of the world. So you have to start to tune some things out. There's a book that I read that I bought, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. But my big brother also just bought it. He'd been reading through it. He was talking about how it's like changing his life. And I'm like, yeah. So this book is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by author Mark Manson. He also has an awesome YouTube channel where he actually talks about that book and other books he has. I've been meaning to get a couple other books he has. But The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck teaches you, it's not about not giving a fuck about anything, because you have to give a fuck about some things, but it's about choosing what to actually give a crap about. Because if you are stuck trying to worry about everything that you have no control over, it will ruin your mental health and it will ruin your life, and you will feel stuck and you will feel like a victim constantly. So now, I had already been on this path before I got this book, because the whole point of this video is take control of your life, right? And part of that is learning to not give a crap about everything. You can't. The human mind was not meant to constantly worry about everything going on in the world. This is like a newer phenomenon that social media has really exacerbated. And I've talked about a lot of this stuff, you know, the whole Palestine thing, and what's going on in Ukraine, and you gotta tune this stuff out sometimes. And I made a post on Facebook, and I had a couple of my friends comment on it too, and they were just so worried about mass deportations, and I'm just like, what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. You can't. You gotta stop. You gotta stop being so worried about something you can't change. It's all it's doing is hurting you. You have to take control. You have to stop looking at everything that is wrong. There's always wrong. The world is not a nice place. It's just not. Reality sucks. But if you start to take control of your life, and I mean really looking at what affects you and what you can affect, and if you can't do anything to change something, and something's not actually changing you and affecting your life and your mental health at that time, if it has no bearing on your life, you don't need to care about that. It has nothing to do with you. So this guy on Instagram was trying to lecture me on how women's rights were being taken away in the United States. And they're just not. They're not. And he was specifically talking about abortion rights. And I know that's a hot button topic for a lot of people. We're about to be off road now, so it's going to be bumpy. But like I said before, I'm more of a Bernie Sanders kind of guy. Not specifically socialist, but I did like a lot of the ideas that Bernie Sanders was putting forth. Whether you do or not, that's fine. You can disagree. I'm not going to call you crazy or not, because everybody's brought up different. But then again, I'm also not super leftist. I'm not conservative, you know, not to be too political. I've talked about stuff before. But I don't think Roe versus Wade should have been overturned. I agreed with it. I think on the federal level, abortion should be legal because it is up to a woman to choose what she wants to do. Whether you agree with that or not, that's fine. So I'm pro-choice, pro-women's rights. But the thing is, women's rights aren't being taken away. Roe versus Wade got taken away. That just gave the right to the states to decide what they wanted to do and whether to make it legal or not. And my thing, he was just so caught up in this, and he was just complaining and trying to lecture me on how bad it is for women. And I'm like, you're a guy, man. It has nothing to do with you, you know. And the thing is, we didn't get to vote on that because essentially the United States is not a democracy; it's a republic. So we elect people to represent us, and then they go in and make the policies. So what are you going to do? There's nothing you can change in that, and there's nothing that that the women that are affected by this can do to change it. And that's unfortunate. But if you live in a super red state, that I live in a super red state, Utah, but abortion's legal in Utah. So if you live in a state like what was it, Tennessee? Is it? I don't remember. And some states made it super duper illegal for abortion. If you live in a state like that and you're a woman, sorry, like what? There's nothing you can do, but you have to take control of your life. If it is that dire of a situation for you, then you have to get out of a climate that doesn't suit you. And that's what gave me the idea for this video. I was telling this guy this. I was like, if you're in a place that doesn't suit you, you need to leave. You need to take control of your life. Don't bitch about it. Don't complain about it. Do something about it. Because what else are you going to do? Like, complaining and crying and moaning and bitching, complaining and blah, blah, blah. It's never going to change anything. Boy, it is bumpy. So, like, when I lived back east, I've talked about this plenty. I lived in North Carolina. Hurricanes were just taking everything I owned. Goddamn. I lost everything I owned twice, almost, you know? Because the first time was a hurricane, lost almost everything I owned in a hurricane. Except what I had in a truck, basically, when I was on the road. My eyeball itches. And I was married at the time, and I eventually got fed up with it. And I had several talks with my wife saying we need to leave. We need to get out of this climate because it's just ruining us. Never had any money, no nothing, you know. I was sick of it. And she didn't want to do it. She just wouldn't do it. For some reason, she wanted to stay there, even though she also hated North Carolina. Eventually, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm leaving. So we split. We divorced. I left. And I've talked about it before. Like, it sucks that I don't get to see my kid, but do I regret it? No, I don't. Oh, I got a dry throat today. All right. I'm having to talk louder than I normally do because Jeeps are loud, man. So, really, what it came down to was I had to take control of my life. She was a pretty controlling person. And it drove me into the ground mentally. And then I left. So, at that point, it was me starting to take control of my life. Then I ran into BPD girl. That was a mistake. I should have not been dating anybody at that time. I should have stayed single for a little while. At least a year or two. And I wouldn't have wasted my time with this girl because she was also, BPD, I've talked about it before. It was terrible. But after we split, that's when I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to let anybody else ever dictate what I do with my life ever again, ever. And if somebody comes into my life, you know, I'm still dating, but like, I'm still dating, but I don't allow anybody to dictate what I do with my time. You know, I do what I want. Super off-road. I had to hold, I gotta hold the camera. So like today, you know, it's Monday. I'm not dating anybody at the moment. And if I was, I probably would try to spend some time with them. But it's a work day. I'm off on Mondays. I'm going out to the middle of the desert to go shooting. Because that's what I want to do. I do what I want to do. I took control of my life. And I don't let people dictate what I do with my time. I don't let social media dictate what I'm mad at or care about. I don't let anything affect me and my mental state and my physical state if I don't want it to. And that is what you need to do as a man. You need to do this because your mental health and your physical health depends on it. There's another Jeep up here on the hill. I'm going out to Lone Rock. You'll see it in a minute. But you can't let others control you. You have to control you. If you're in a relationship and typically when you're unhappy in a relationship, it's because you're not getting what you want out of a relationship. Now, sometimes it could be that you are the problem. But typically, when you're in a relationship and you're not getting what you want out of it, it's because you have not been setting boundaries and you haven't been telling people no. And you haven't been saying, I don't want to do that when you don't want to do it. Now, sometimes you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do. That's understandable. But that, it comes down to asking yourself, I don't want to do this, but is it going to affect me in such a negative way that it will bring my mental health down? And if the answer to that is yes, then you don't need to do it. You just don't. Period. And that's called setting a boundary. If somebody's got a problem with you setting a boundary, they are the problem. They are. So there were plenty of times in my life where I should have said no and I didn't. I should have set boundaries and I didn't, but now I do. And online, you'll say how you're single and doing just fine. And these idiot feminists will get on there and they'll tell you, well, you're single because you can't get a woman because no woman wanted. I get plenty of matches. I talk to plenty of women. I go on plenty of dates, but I'm very, very, very selective with who I want to spend my time with, and I just haven't found that because I want somebody who knows how to chill and knows how to respect boundaries and isn't going to try and demand or dictate what I do with my time. If I want to spend time with you, I'll spend time with you. But you can't demand it. Once you start demanding it, I'm going to pull away. And that was the thing with Conflict Girl. By the time we split up, she was literally demanding that I have feelings for her when she constantly picked fights and arguments. And I told her, I was like, I can't fall for you if you are constantly interrupting what peace I have. You're constantly demanding that I do extra, do, and you're doing nothing but picking arguments. I can't fall for somebody like that. So we split up. That was me setting a boundary. Of course, I got posted on the T app, and then her friend was talking trash about me because I was setting boundaries, and her friend didn't like that. But that's fine, I'm okay with that. It annoyed me at first, but that's fine. I found that most of the women that talk trash about you on those apps is because, now if you were a shitty person, that's your fault. But most of these women, when they get rejected for good reason or called out for being a toxic piece of crap, they go and they try to slander your name. They do that because that's the only way they can get back at you. But hey, does it bother me? No, it doesn't, because the right woman will look at that and they will actually talk to me, and they will, an adult will assess whether the online bullshit is bullshit or not. So I'm fine with it. So that's me taking control of my life. I'm not letting that dictate my mental state and what I'm mad at. The women that talk trash about you on, and it was only a couple. That I had rejected for being a problem, and those were the ones that posted me on the Facebook app, and that's fine. That's fine. I actually have legit proof that they were being a problem. I kept that proof as a way to prove that I was doing the right thing. So that can't bother me. But you have to be able to just sometimes take a risk. I'm gonna go up here to go shoot. You have to be able to take a risk and tell yourself that you need to do this. Whatever this is, you need to do it for you. And that's not being selfish. That's what you call self-care. if you got a partner, if you're with a girl, if you got a girlfriend or whatever, you know, include them on decisions. If you live together, you know, include people on decisions. I'm not saying completely disrespect your partner. Maybe I can make a video on that. But if you're not married, you're not living with somebody, you're not sharing finances, you're not doing something like that, you're completely independent. Just because you've been dating somebody for, say, I don't know, 2-3 months, that person is not entitled to anything. Nothing. They're not entitled to anything. That's just a fact, Jack. And they don't like that. I think I'm going to shoot right here. This is a good spot. So yeah, let's turn the truck off. But that's just a fact. They don't like that you set boundaries. And that's a problem. Because 2-3 months in, they are not really a part of your life. So, and I mean, this could go for family too, that are, you can cut family out that are causing you problems. You know, if your family is trying to control you and demand that you do things that you don't want to do, you can just say no. You can say no. You're a grown adult. You're a man. You can say no. And if they got a problem with that, too bad. Too bad. I've cut some family out that I just didn't like. I've cut friends off. You got to cut toxic people out of your life. You got to do it. That's how you take control. You take control by cutting out dead weight. That if something's not contributing positively to your life, cut it the fuck out. That's how you take control. So it was just a rant while I'm on the way out here to go shooting at Lone Rock. I'm going to show it to you real quick. Lone Rock. I don't think it's a state park. It could be. Oh, my lights are on. I was like, why is it beeping? So, yeah, I'm out here in the middle of the freaking desert. Oh, it's going to be hot today. Not too hot, but it will be hot. Let me get out. Oh, my God. I parked on a hill. So, get my gun. With my gun. So, Lone Rock. It's a cool ass place. It's out in the middle of nowhere. But I like it like that. So, but yeah, that was just a rant. A little bit of a rant. Somebody shot a watermelon. I should have bought a watermelon to bring out here to shoot. But yeah, it was just a rant. Quick rant on taking charge of your life. Peace.